So, CFMoto just launched two brand new adventure bikes, and I got invited down to give them their maiden ride. There's the MTX1000, their first ever liter ADV bike, and the refreshed MT800ES with its fancy new electronic suspension. And you know what the interesting thing is? I think I'd actually take the cheaper and less powerful MT800ES over the MTX1000. Their first liter ADV bike hosts a 946cc parallel twin, making a claimed horsepower of 111. It also hosts a big 22.5 liter fuel tank, and it comes with a ton of loaded goodies that I'm just gonna list down here because that list is really long. So right out of the box, this bike is quite fully featured, and the price comes in at 29,900 Singapore dollars. This is not including COE or insurance. Then the MT800ES, a refresh of the older MT800, now with a 799cc parallel twin, making a claimed horsepower of 91. It hosts a 19-liter fuel tank, slightly smaller than the MTX1000. But here's the big upgrade, a semi-active electronic suspension by KYB, which the old 800 didn't have and was greatly requested. The bike itself also comes with a lot of goodies, maybe just missing out on the Brembo brakes, but more or less it has a lot of things going for it. And it comes in at $1,000 less at $28,900. This is also before COE and insurance. So with that close of a pricing difference, which one would you go for? And that's why I actually went to test both the bikes, and here are my thoughts on them. So I rode the MT800ES First. The KYB electronic suspension is something you can feel when riding this bike. This was especially apparent when I tried the MTX1000 right after. The bike was sufficiently light and nimble, and had more of a street style feel when riding it. It has a slightly more aggressive seating position as well. Anyways, I'll let you listen to the raw engine noises of the MT800ES. And if you like the content so far, please remember to give me a like and subscribe to the channel. Then I hopped on the MTX1000. Now this was the bike that everyone was excited about, so much so that there was a long queue before I could even get my hands on trying it. On paper, it should have overshadowed the MT800ES. A more powerful engine, bigger fuel tank, and more everything except maybe an electronic suspension. However, I just felt that it was not as punchy to me as the MT800ES. It is a little lackluster in terms of performance when I gave it a rev. For comparison, here's the MTX1000's engine sound. Now let me know in the comments down below which engine sound you prefer, the MT800ES or the MTX1000. Now, let's talk about comfort. The riding position on the MTX1000 is quite upright compared to the MT800ES, which has a more aggressive stance, but the difference is quite negligible. Both ADV bikes are quite comfortable to sit on, and the cushioning does seem a little thin, but the seat itself is quite wide, so it does help on longer journeys. The MTX1000 feels a little more top-heavy than the MT800ES due to the larger fuel tank. To make this worse, the MTX1000 has a much higher seat height, where at its lowest setting, it is at 830 millimeters, but has a secondary seat height of 870 millimeters. This is much higher than the MT800ES, which only comes in at 825 millimeters. I was able to flat foot both the bikes, but the MTX1000 is a lot harder to handle even for a tall guy like me. Finally, you can't really talk about comfort without talking about the heat. The MTX1000 runs hot, very hot.
Ooh. Oh my god, this bike is getting very hot in comparison to my Africa Twin. Oh, yeah. Like, I'm wearing long pants and I'm feeling it, man. No joke, no joke.
Like, the heat was cutting through my thick riding jeans. This is not something I experienced even on my 1100cc Africa Twin. I think in Singapore climate, this is something not trivial. It was at night and the heat is so noticeable. I don't want to imagine what it feels like in the scorching heat of the afternoon sun. In comparison, I barely felt any heat discomfort on the MT800ES due to its smaller engine displacement. So what tech do these bikes pack then? Both bikes run a 6-axis IMU that gives you cornering ABS and lean-sensitive traction control. They also feature multiple ride modes, and they come with an up and down quick shifter. Alongside that, you're also provided with cruise control, heated grips and seats as standard. That sounds like quite a complete package for its price. Now, the main differences for these two bikes are probably the orientation of the TFT screens, as well as the electronic suspension that is featured on the MT800ES. Spec-wise, they're both pretty similar for a $1,000 price difference.
Okay, so if you'd ask me to compare between the two bikes, the MTX800ES and the MTX1000, I would pick the MT800ES over the 1000, hands down. I think heat-wise, the 1000 is a beast. And in terms of power, I feel that it's not that big a difference, right? So comfort 800 wins, heat 800 wins, power maybe 1000 might win by a little bit, but yeah, I don't see a reason why you would go for the 1000. But there are a lot of cool things on the 1000. It has a steering dampener by default. Lots of cool electronic features as well that the 800 doesn't have. So maybe that would just push it right over the threshold. Okay, all in all, pretty good bike. I like it. It's kind of light. It's very light in comparison to my AT. But I mean, if you ask me, my AT versus that, I'd pick my AT lah. But you must also understand, my AT is like at least $10,000 more expensive than this bike. So, you know, at a price point, you'd be comparing with other bikes like the Tracer 9 GT Plus, or the Tracer 9 base model essentially. Which is about right? 800 versus a 900cc. So the price point is really between a Chinese bike and a Japanese bike. So the differentiator will obviously be the servicing as well as aftermarket services. I can't speak for that because I'm not a CFMoto owner, so I don't want to, maybe some of you CFMoto owners can weigh in on the service side of things, and we'll know for sure, right? In terms of design-wise, in my head, initially I thought the CFMoto was not very nice, but then when I saw it in person, I actually really like that mono light, especially at night when the light is lit up. That very nice line design. I think I'm a sucker for lights. My AT has very nice headlights as well. It looks like owl. And this guy, maybe this MT looks like the Tron bike, essentially. Alright, enough yapping. I'll see you guys next time. Let me know down in comments what else you want me to comment about riding the bike. I've only had like a couple of minutes on it, so I can't speak much about longevity and every other thing, right?
And that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick review of the MT800ES and the MTX1000. If you like this content, give me a follow and subscribe. See you in the next video.